Hello and a wonderful good morning to the 164 Digital Breakfast. By the way, last week we have the 5th anniversary of Digital Breakfast. We took the trouble and created a new homepage. On the homepage you will always find the next Digital Breakfast, but also a gallery with all of the events we have done so far. The link comes right away in the chat. We record the Digital Breakfast and make it available. It is important to know that that if I'm registered, you will get the link afterwards, even if we are not present. Today is an important day. We have our first Digital Breakfast in English, and it will not be the last. For me personally, this also means leaving the comfort zone because my English is not so good. So thanks for your patience in advance. Today we will hear this John with the topic account-based selling in the future now. When we talk about inbound marketing, storytelling, content marketing today, it is always about attraction customers as a pull marketing. But what if the number of customers is limited, as is the case with the automotive manufacturers, for example, where there are only 15 20s in Germany? Or if I get a wish list of customers from my boss in sales, that's where I have a limited environment for my sales activities, and that's where account-based sellings come in. And how we can do this more effectively and efficiently, that's what we're hearing from John now. John, I would like to hand over to you and wish you a lot of fun and inspiration. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Thomas, and thank you for the opportunity. And I'm very happy to join you guys. I'm going to be talking a little bit about account-based selling, a few strategies around that. But before we dive into that, I want to tell you guys a little bit about myself and also show you our business and our startup, because it really relates to account-based selling. So I'm going to do a quick, this is going to be a 3 or 4 minute introduction. So let me just find my right screen. One moment. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm first of all, my name is Sean. I'm the co-founder of Chartloop. Chartloop is a new startup. We've been around for a year. We've launched a few months ago, and we help sellers get organizational intelligence about the companies that they're looking to sell or to penetrate. Now to explain a little bit about this. So why would anybody need such information? We have a lot of information already. The answer is that's very true. This is what a salesperson's day looks like, right? We have so many different tools. We have LinkedIn, we have tools for the emails, but with all of that, finding the right person to speak to is like finding a needle in the haystack, and especially if it's a big company. If I'm trying to go to find a certain engineer at Volkswagen, it's not going to be so simple to find that one person. Now, the information from the inventors of MEDDIC. MEDDIC is the biggest framework, most popular framework used for enterprise sales, show that you need to have very clear understanding about your account, about the problems that they're having, and we'll discuss this in a moment. But you need to do research for that. But the challenge is that if I am a sales manager or a salesperson, I don't have a team doing research for me all day. It's very expensive. Only massive companies like Microsoft or Amazon might have that. So that's where Chartloop comes in. It's a tool that takes, right, this is typically what the CRM looks like. This is a spreadsheet. You might have a list of all your contacts and the information. It's great, but right, what do you do this? Who reports to who? Who do you contact first? Who do you contact second? And we transform this information, right? We take this data and transform it into a very clear organizational chart, which you can understand exactly. Am I on the right level? Who do I want to speak to first? Who do I call? Allowing you to accelerate your sales cycle. So that's Chartloop in a nutshell. And I'm gonna show you the actual tool in middle of my conversation, which will be dedicated more to the real strategies around account-based sales. So that's a little introduction. Let me see. Do we have here a few comments in the chat? Okay, great. If there's anybody has questions as we go along, feel free to jump in. Okay, so today's digital breakfast, right? So with that little introduction about Chartloop, I'd like to share with you the agenda. We will cover 3 topics. One revolves around pipeline generation, right? How do I build a systematic way to have contacts, enough contacts to get into these large accounts. The second is what I call the 3 whys, which is not my invention, but is this qualification criteria. So there's many sales methodologies around enterprise sales, namely MEDDIC, which I won't discuss per se, but this is really the core of it. Understanding, qualifying a deal before saying we have an opportunity, really understanding what is considered a deal or opportunity. And then finally, an account plan is how do I go about, okay, so if I want to do a deal with Volkswagen, how do I approach them? Who do I approach? What are the different strategies? And that's where a tool like Chartloop or other tools can come in as well. So that is our agenda, and we will jump right in. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to discuss was the pipeline generation framework. So this framework, there's nothing new here under the sun. However, this is a methodology of how, right, the idea is here to have a scientific process that, if on one side you put in 10 leads or whatever the number is, and it goes through a certain process, if you do these activities on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, you will be successful in building pipeline and then eventually getting deals out of your pipeline. So the process here has five steps, kind of going in clockwise order, starting with selecting the right accounts that you want to go after. What's your account list? Do you have the full account list? Is it big or is it small, right? If you only have, as Thomas was saying, 20 automotive manufacturers, that means within every account, you're going to need to have many, many contacts because you have very few accounts, right? The size of these accounts, their quality. So the size of an account will determine what kind of deal size you can have, and also the speed. Is it a 3-month sales cycle or is it a 18-month, long sales cycle? So that's something you want to know. Also, quality over quantity. It depends also the stage of the company, right? If you're a very small company, you may want to do smaller deals at the beginning just in order to get the process started, and then later on do bigger deals, which obviously take longer and cost more to in the sales process. So that's the first phase. The second step is, and this is, I think, very much this is the numbers game. Finding at least 20 or more contacts within a given account. So obviously you're going to define your buyer persona, right? Whatever department that is, if it's sales or engineering or procurement, or it's probably be a combination from different departments, and then plan your activities, right? What are we going to be doing? So if I have a list of 30 people that work at Volkswagen, right? What am I going to be doing? Am I going to be calling them? And am I going to be sending them flowers? Am I going to be, reaching out to them on LinkedIn, emailing them, using a drip tool? Probably all of them, or some sort of combination. But just making sure that that's, happening on a plan, right? So with this framework, what you want to be doing is every week you want to be taking 3 or 4 accounts and doing this, right? So starting, okay, here's another account. Let me get 20 people into my pipeline. Let me make sure I'm doing, I'm doing the calls, I'm doing the emails, I'm reaching out on LinkedIn, and then eventually it's gonna accumulate, right? Because every week, if we're putting in 3 or 4 accounts, at the end of a quarter, something is going to happen, right? From this process and the work. Now, within these accounts, okay, so we might have 20 contacts. Finding a champion using an org chart, right? So you could build an org chart by yourself based on first, the contacts that you have or the people within an account. But you want to know, right? Who am I approaching? Who is the decision maker? Who is the influencer? Who is the waste of my time? Who is just blocking my way? And we'll talk a little bit more about. We'll expand on the org chart, the strategies of how to do that. And then what the number 4 step is build the why anything. And this I'll also touch in a second. The 3 whys. How to understand, meaning why should this company care? Why is now the time? Why is my company? Why do I have something of value to offer them? And then making the contact, right? Calling them and just getting outside of the front door and hustling. Is there a word in German for hustle? I guess no, Thomas.
Oder sowas. Vollgas geben. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a moderate, right? It's really it's kind of a numbers game with this process. Is like the pipeline. We choose the right accounts, choose the number of contacts, work them, call them, email them, and what we're going to talk exactly how, and then we're going to have a result. That's the pipeline generation process, which is not obviously everybody is doing this, but oftentimes, and I know this with myself, we don't do this systematically, right? So we'll put in 10 accounts once a quarter or once half a year, and then try to kind of opportunistically do this. But if this shouldn't be an opportunistic thing. This should be determined, right? Exactly what accounts, do this on a weekly basis. For example, do a small number of accounts so it's actually maintainable, right number of contacts, reaching out, right people, and the deal will come. So that's the first step on the pipeline generation piece. Now from here, I want to go into the second piece. I just want to see if there's any comments on the chat. Sean, I tried Chartloop already 6 months ago, and the outcome was not as expected. Did your machine improve? Meantime, yes, it did. We'll talk about it some more, and I'm going to show you. Machine learning takes time and data. In my experience, the results are very good for 50 million in sales and upwards. Yeah, for bigger sales. Yeah, and definitely. My concept here is not really. Did not come here to promote Chartloop per se. There's also, you can use your own information or do this manually, but more about strategies of doing account-based to win bigger accounts, which are often overlooked at. Okay, so this is the second part of the topic, which is what we call the 3 whys. Now this is the most basic thing. Does anybody here use Medic or any other sales methodology for their account-based or selling process? You guys can maybe vote in the chat, like a yes or a no, or never heard of Medic. Okay, so Medic. So I'll explain. Medic is a framework is a qualification framework to know whether your deal is qualified that you're speaking to the right people, that they have a pain, and the process, and a few such steps. Now, I don't want to get into the sales process into Medic specifically, because I think it's out there and it's public. But the core of Medic comes down to this 3 whys, and this has been invented or by one of what people call the godfathers of B2B sales. So John McMahon, he was one of the sales leaders at PTC in the U.S. in the 90s, a company that had always delivered over-delivered their revenues for about 43 quarters. And he's on the board of many prominent software enterprise companies like MongoDB or Snowflake and a few others. And when he would approach a salesperson who would say that, oh yes, here is an opportunity, or I have an opportunity, but it didn't close this quarter, right? So it comes down to these 3 questions. First of all is, why do anything? What is the customer's pain? Meaning, if you do not do, right? So if I am selling, for example, some software to improve their engineering, their software engineering, or cyber work. If nothing were to change, what is there going to be a damage? Are they going to lose revenue? Are they going to be right, lack of growth? What is determining me? Why should they do anything? Right, that's the first thing. Or it could also be like, the company is doing digital transformation, right? What does that actually mean, right? So if that's a topic, that's something that they want to change about the company. So that's the first aspect. The second is, why buy from me? Once you understand exactly their pain, right? Before trying to pitch them, if you understand, this is the change we want to do to our engineering process. So, for example, our company can serve this with our solution. So that's the why buy for me. And the third one is the why buy now. Understand the negative implications of not solving. So if you do not make any changes, what will happen? Will the company suffer revenue? Would it not grow? And then within each one of these categories, I put a few questions that you can be asked. This is essentially something to ask your customer. So with the first phase of why do anything, you have to quantify the degree of pain, right? Because oftentimes it's like, oh, I have a problem, but like you need to explain, look, if you don't take care of this problem, for example, your engineers are leaving after 2 years, so you have a certain churn. What does that mean in terms of your bottom line? Is it hurting your revenues? Right. So what we want to do at this stage, instead of like, right, we say like we're always tempted to say, oh, I have 30 opportunities that I'm speaking to, or I'm speaking to X companies, and therefore I have an opportunity because I have a contact. But really, do they have? It's instead of running towards the sale, you actually say, slow down a second. Let me understand better, like where maybe, if they don't have any such need, like don't waste your time. You're just going to be spending time here. So this is very counterintuitive. And also with the customer, like, no, I don't want to show you. I'm not going to show you. We have 100 features, right, to our product, but let's not talk about the features if we don't understand, right, what your need is, because the features are not going to make any close or any sale. Always go for the biggest pain, right? So top of mind. So for example, now during Corona, right, everybody addresses like, oh, here is the COVID, right? You should, work from home, right? Why are we doing that? Because it's top of mind. It's what keeps the CEO awake at night, right? That's kind of the highest. You want to go for the highest pain. And also, John McMahon says is that you get relegated to who you sound like, right? So if you talk about a small pain of, I don't know, you talk about bugs in the systems for the engineers, then maybe the engineers will listen to you because it's the same language. But if you can explain exactly how those bugs for the engineers are impacting the whole development cycle, or impacting revenue or delivery time, or right, the big picture, that's right. So you're choosing your own counterpart based on the message and the pain that you're trying to go for. So that's why you should always try to go for the very top, because obviously you'll be dealing with decision makers and people who can make some decisions. So that's on the first realm. And the second bucket is more, right, why buy from me? Who am I that you want to buy from? So so a big thing is don't show up and throw up. Especially in software sales, people do this, right? So let me meet you, and oh, nice to meet you, and then here's our platform, and here's our system, and let me show you 3,000 different features, but nobody cares about your features, and then so that's part of like the slowing down. Let's talk about the customer. Let's understand exactly what's their objective. Once I said, oh, okay, for example, if they want to hire another 100 engineers next year, but I know that they have this flaw in their system. Now I could come to the point of really matching. It's like a puzzle. Now that if I understand their pain, then I could say we are good for it, not because of our features, but because, for example, if you're trying to hire 100 people, we can accelerate that hiring process to be very effective. So that's where it's almost you're leaving completely your technical or your service, but more you're talking about their needs, right? Their highest needs, the real pain, and matching your solution to that. So that's the why buy for me. And then the third piece is creating urgency. What's the risk of not buying your solution now, right? So if you are if you don't do it now, are you incurring losses? Is it a revenue? Is it churn? Is it issues with customers? Will revenue suffer or lose money from operation? And then also, like, who is the person who will suffer, right? When you say, like, when I know the pain, like this John McMahon would say, like, for example, somebody came up to him and he said, oh, this opportunity was supposed to close in Q3, but it got pushed off, right? So he's like, okay, so like, what's the pain? Now, when I ask what's the pain, like, who on the customer's team, like, are the engineers bleeding? Is it the managers not able to deliver? How are they suffering? Is it that they need to spend, tell me exactly, for example, they need to spend 10 hours more a week on training new employees because they have an issue with their engineering system. So if you can go down to the details and point, right, to people at the office and say, these guys are suffering because, right, you have this problem, that this could also move the deal, right? You want to do this quarter because, right, you're bleeding money, or your team is churning. So that's this is really going in and really dissecting a team. And if on any deal, like if you go to your deal, go to your CRM, go to your, I don't know what you're using, Pipefy or Salesforce, whatever. And if you can't answer these three questions well, you have a problem. And you want, this is an X-ray. It's like going to the doctor and having an X-ray of your lungs. This is put any deal inside this and ask the three questions. And you should be able to really build a case. Now, something that people that John McMahon and some other companies do based on this, so you could build a document called the 3 Whys together with your customers. And I'm going to show you an example. It's a bad example. It's not the best 3 Whys, but just is an idea of taking. Let me just show you guys. Is taking the 3 Whys and building this together with your customer, because your customers would actually be happy to one second, right, wrong one, would be happy to discuss, to share with you their pains and explain what's going on. So let me share this, enter. slideshow. Right. So this is a customer of ours called it's called White Hat, and they do they're kind of an HR and IT solution for training. And this is a document that I built. I've had many, they're still in the sales process, but a document that I built together with the champion there that we have. First of all, is on the understanding of their business. This is kind of more of like an intro, what they're focused on, what some of their challenges are, and then okay, what problems are White Hat trying to solve? So this is like what's a pain that you have? So for them, they're hiring a lot of people, right? How can they make them? Because training time for them takes 2 quarters. It's a big waste of resources. The other problem that they have is more. They have very, very good reps and very expensive. They pay them high wages. How do they get their performance increased? And then I write, this is more of like explaining the situation. And even you can include here like quotes from the customer. Like they're saying, oh, we are here. They told me that it takes 2 quarters to ramp, or we're planning to hire 50 people next year. So this is something you're building together with them. And then they're like saying, oh yeah, that's actually, yes, that's exactly what's going on. And then the next piece is more like the solution, right? How Chartloop solves these problems, help for, in their case, accelerating their ramp time for new reps and helping their reps be more productive, and showing this. Once this is your business case, and here you could pack all kinds of things. Like you could say, oh, a rep spends 5 hours doing their research, right? Which for us is a specific thing around org charts, which is in their process. But you could be doing this for any business. In this case, there's actually 2 whys, not 3. But this is the essence of taking, right? It's not just your CRM, but actually discussing, their pains. Why now? How do we solve? What are the capabilities that we have to solve your specific pain? If you're able to make such a document, that you have a deal going. If not, you have a problem, and maybe you should disqualify. Maybe it's not an opportunity, right? Maybe it's just a wish, on a wish list, but it's not real. But that is the 3 whys. I've been introduced to it, and for me, it's been very transformative, and I'd highly recommend you guys. Try this at home. Try this in your CRM and in your sales process. Okay, so I'll pause here for 1 second. I want to see if there's any questions or thoughts as we on the comments. Okay, and can we get a link to Medic, please? Yeah, sure. Did you? Oh, okay. Okay, we'll definitely share a link to Medic, but maybe if you guys want to see quickly, I could show you what the Medic, the sales process. It's an acronym that stands for a few of the it's the qualifying criteria, right? So it's a bit small here, but okay, metrics. What's the economic? Okay, metric. What's the economic impact of the solution? Economic buyer, right? Who do you want to be speaking to? Decision criteria. What are their technical, vendor, financial criteria? Decision process. What is if there's a lot of red tape? If it's a big company or a small one. Identify the pain, the champion. This is kind of more internal. I think the 3 whys is really. I took the 3 whys because I think that's the core of it. This is a little bit more glorified. You need to know all of this, but yeah, there's also, I'd say, many methodologies. This is probably the most common one and the most popular one. There's also spin selling. It's another way to qualify, but that's more in terms of the qualification. So okay. So maybe from here, if we can go. Sorry about this. Just a lot of different.
John,
yes.
I have a question. Can we take a live example with Chartloop?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So with Chartloop, so let me do this. So this is kind of the last kind of section, the qualification. This is the account planning, and I'll show you. So there's different phrases. So now that you had you have a qualified deal, now you need to know how to get into the account, right? And if it's a big account, it's a very big challenge. So there's a few different phases. One is the planning, and I'm going to show you this on Chartloop. Expanding, right? Once you already have a deal, cross-selling, then reviewing, maintaining that. So we will jump from here right into Chartloop. One second.
Does anyone have an account? We can do the example.
Yeah. Okay. So are you guys able to see this? Okay. You guys see my screen, right?
No.
You don't see my. Oh, sorry about this. Okay, so let me screen share. Okay. Here we go.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Super. So this is Chartloop. So Chartloop is a tool to visualize the account. The way one would use, I'm just going to give you a quick overview. One would use the tool. They would come into here and they would choose Add Account. For example, if I put in MongoDB, it surfaces the company, and then I have an option to choose from approximately. Currently, we have 10 departments that we cover. The classic ones like sales, marketing, engineering, and so on. You hit create. There is a certain load time, and then it gives you a result. So for example, here I have a pre-populated account. Sienna is a big US networking company, network infrastructure. And I have 3 different accounts for them. 3 different departments for them. One is the C-suite, the very top. One is the information, the IT, and one is human resources. Right. So so the C-suite is the very top. It's usually not the hardest thing to find because there's also sometimes information on the website of the company, right, on the About Me page. But here you can see exactly the structure, right? You know, who's the CEO, the C-level, some of the VPs, things like that. Now, if I go into a specific department, so for example, if I go into their IT department, right? So here I have a little overview of how many. So now because this is a very large account, I have here, this is an org chart of the top of the account. So from like director level and up. And here there's 140 people in this IT chart. And then I can focus on various different, filter by different geographies, for example. So if I wanted to look in Maryland, where they have their headquarters, I could see here they have their CTOs. In this case, they have several CTOs because they have several different business units. You could also filter, for example, by searching by a person's name, like for example, director. I could search for all the directors, or in the whole. If I looked in the whole department, it allows you to very, very quickly visualize where you are. So do you want to be speaking, right? And also the level. Do I want to be speaking at the senior leadership level, director level, and so on? So for example, if you are going after an account, and we said you want to have 20 contacts per account, right? Because you want to have a conversation with at least 7 or 8 people. Where are they? Are they on this level, the CTO level? Are they on the director level? Managers? Do you look further down, the desk level? So this allows you to understand very well where your contacts are, and where you want to go. Then I'm more on the individual person level, the resolution. If you click on a person's name, Tim Ford, let's see. Okay, he doesn't have his LinkedIn, but almost all of them have their LinkedIn profile. If you click on it, you could see their social information. So that's Chartloop in a nutshell. Now, what Chartloop allows you to also do further is create what we call a deal board, an account plan, right? So Sienna is a huge company. They have thousands of employees. Who are we contacting within that organization? So I can create here. Okay, so I can create here a deal board. One second, where is my deal board? I can create a board where I can combine different elements from a company. I'm just going to reload this. So, for example, I can combine people from IT, from HR, from the C-suite, exactly the people that I need to reach out to. So I have an account plan. I can visually and clearly see exactly who I want to be contacting. Yeah, excuse my internet is a little slow. And okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to show you a different example just because this demo is not going great. But maybe yeah. So this is Chartloop, and I can explain a little more specifically how you would use this for your strategy for account selling. But maybe as we look into this, any other questions from anybody or thoughts about this?
At the moment,
okay, so I'm going to show you.
At the moment,
yeah,
by the Pionierfabrik, we qualified a wish customer list, and we do from every customer a chart loop, and so we can get the right person to contact on LinkedIn and Xing. It's our account plan.
Yeah, exactly. So this is an example of a deal board. I'm just going to show you a different one within.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, within Adobe their engineering team. So for example, if I had to deal with their engineering team, in this case, I have their engineering plus C-suite, right? So like CTO and so on. And of course, we have here. I could filter here also by the geography, so I can put in Deutschland here, right? And it can show me exactly who within the German team I have. And then I could also assign different labels. So for example, there's two things, colors and labels. So if I right click here, I have an option of giving them a color or a label. Like, did I contact them, or I want to contact them, or what their status is, who the champion is. Now in this specific board, what I did is I combined people from different areas. So for example, I have here a team on the right hand, this is the left hand side, right? A team from Germany, and then I combined a team from New York, right? Which I want to go after. And for example, the orange ones are the decision makers. Green ones could be a different color, and then I can also combine here people from a different department. So the C-suite, and then I have a visual of understanding exactly, how am I doing within the account? Who do I want to be spending time with? And then, for example, also reporting, right? If I have a meeting with my colleagues, what is the plan for this account? What is our progress? And we could always share a spreadsheet, but this really allows you to clearly visualize and plan your accounts. So that's Chartloop, and then more like the strategic questions around this is you can also ask different questions, right, for the different phases. What is the account? What are my account priorities? What's my proposition for every stakeholder, right? A VP and a director probably have different objectives. Do I have a different pitch, right? Do I understand the pain of each one? How do I go around? If I have somebody's blocking me, how do I go around them, right? And then expansion, right? We might win over one group or one lead. right? How do I cross-sell to different departments? How do I protect my deal, right? If I have one stakeholder and they go and they get fired, you know, my deal is kaput, right? What happens later? So how do I build protection? Then more like review. How do I maintain my champion? How do I find other ones and kind of grow my account? So that's what I had to share with you guys in terms of this is the account plan itself, especially for bigger accounts. I think the first step is the qualification, understanding if we even have a deal, and then before that we said that the whole process, right? The pipeline generation within an account and using an org chart. So within a lot of these organizations that use Medic, org charts is an inherent process to this, because you want to know, right? And not every lead is treated equal, right? If they're CTO, if they're a VP, if they're an individual contributor, where am I spending my time? And then how am I going really to build the critical mass and to build some sort of opportunity and real deal within a company. So hopefully that's helpful. I think Thomas will be sharing with you guys also the presentation if you guys want to try it at home. If you guys want, so in terms of Chartloop, so we've been live for about 6 months now. There is a free trial on Chartloop, which if you try it, it gives you 3 departments to try out, free credits, 3 of those. There is some sort of a load time, but I suggest you try it whatever, a day, and you let it run for a few hours or overnight. But let's see, maybe from here, I'm happy to also answer questions or anything else you guys might have in mind. What's the prerequisite to find a company in Chartloop, size or industry? So there isn't a prerequisite. So the way we do this, the way Chartloop works is we're connected to a few data sources. Some of them are open ones, like different search engines. Some of them are closed ones, like data APIs. But they all feed at the end of the day from LinkedIn. So it's not like we go to LinkedIn directly, but they check the person's profile. So if there's people, they have online activity, then they'll be there. So if it's a small company, let's say 50 people, it might be very small. You might have only 2 or 3 people by department because it goes by keyword. Bigger ones will obviously have more coverage, but it's not limited. So it's pretty much any industry and any size. Down the line, we're on our roadmap. We're having, right now it's an automated process, but we're working on having more high quality ones, and they will be limited to specific industries and to specific functions within a company. Yeah.
I think in German, the companies are bigger than 50 million. Yes. Then we find the company in Chartloop.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And also Thomas did a very cool thing with the banners. I mean, I know he built an org chart. He built an org chart of some of his wish customers and sent it. Maybe show us, Thomas, what it's like. I thought that was a very creative. We need to do that too. Kind of showing them like. By the way, the org chart is something you could use. This concept of the 3 whys, right, is to sit with your customer and ask them, okay, what are your pains? What are your objectives? But in the same process, you also sit down with them and say, look, I built an org chart for you. Is this right? Who else do we need to involve in the process? Is it your manager? Is it a colleague? And people you'll be surprised, be very helpful, especially if you have something already existing, instead of asking them, oh, who do you report to? Who's your, but that's definitely a very powerful way to.
John, I show you our insights. Yes, we make a big campaign, and I think we print posters in flip chart size, and send it to the, I think, to the right people from our wish customer list. And I show you the poster. This is a poster for the customer. It's
very cool.
individual for every sales, and we get in contact with this global sales leadership, and so we do it for another wish customer. That's what.
Nice. And do you, the logistics, you just send them the graphics and they deliver it, or you need to deliver it?
I show you this. I show you this. Wait a moment. And we have this. As it's a big size, and the thing. They don't get it in the paper bag. Yes, it's. I think it's go to the right desk from the rich customer leader. Yeah? That we think for this campaign.
Yeah, very cool. We need to try this over here too with our customers.
Okay. Yes, any question? I think it's a special part from the sales. Yes, I say it in the start that you have a difference between inbound and account-based selling. Account-based selling, you have min list with customer, and at sales paper you get to do business. Yes, it's I think the difference between inbound and storytelling and so. And you want, I think you want the right customer. That's the thing.
Yeah, and to each one their own message, right? If it's a C-level, or if it's a director or a lower level person, each one has a different pain and talking to them specifically.
The IBM had in the past sales methodic called signature selling. Yes, and I think it's one of the best sales methodic I know. After them there came solution selling and selling change sales, and so I collected the whole sales methodic, and we have 42 sales methodic in our glossar. It's different technique. Yeah. Okay.
Super.
Any questions? I think it's very new. John, they start for 6 months with the sales, and I love Chartloop. Yes, I spend a lot of time to search the right persons. I think that's the right way to do account selling based. Yeah.
I have a question. Thank you very much, Sean. Can you tell a little bit more about where Chartloop gathers the data from? What I got is that you, on the one hand, you use the homepage. On the second hand, you use LinkedIn. Are there any other sources you use?
Yeah, so we don't use LinkedIn per se. LinkedIn doesn't like sharing their data, but more like there's APIs for sales. For example, Clearbit.com or People Data Labs. So you subscribe for bulk data. That's one option, one avenue, and the other avenue is search. Some of it from like search engines, like Bing or some others. And then when you search, when you say you put in a company, put in Ferrari engineering, it searches that company and the titles, for example, for sales, right? Everybody in sales. and that's how it gets it to you. And so does that explain?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much.
Sure, and you guys are welcome to check out the tool, or if you have any specific questions or about your own sales ideas, happy to be in touch. I'll put my email down here in the chat, and I'm happy to remain in contact.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Sean, for the presentation.
Pleasure.
I like it. I hope the
listeners
have the same luck as I. Okay. Then.
Sounds good. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining, and happy selling. And if I think the presentation will be available if you have any questions, or I'm happy to be in touch. And we can, definitely continue it.
Okay. Thank you very much for being there. And I think stay safe and munter. So, have a nice day. Ciao.
Fantastic. Take care, guys. All the best. Have a good day. Bye-bye.